Hi friends, today we are going to see about human resources management, fundamentals of human resources management. Human resources is the most important element in any organization. The success, growth and development of the organization depends on the equality of the workforce they possess. It is only through the human resources all other resources actively utilized, leading to the efficient and effective running of an establishment. The significance of a human resource is gaining momentum in certain years because of the growing global business leading to the demand for quality workforce. Meaning and definition of human resources. With the advent of globalization, liberalization and privatization leading to the advancement in the information, communication and technology paved way for exhibiting the high level of innovation and creativity in the human resources. In the current scenario, unless the organization recruits, selects and utilizes the high quality human resources, that sustainability remains a question. In order to accomplish the personal and organizational objectives, the unique asset called the human resource has to be appropriately placed and appreciated in an organization. The human resources are the employees who are inevitable for the survival and the success of enterprise. According to Peter F. Drucker, man of all resources available to him can grow and develop. As per the views of Michael J. Joyce, human resources is a whole consisting of a interrelated, interdependent and interacting psychological, theological and ethical components. It is clear from the definitions that not all human beings are considered to be the human resources, but only those individuals who acquire the required skills, sets, talents, knowledge, competencies and capabilities in the accomplishment of the both individual and organizational objectives. Characteristics of human resources. The unique, peculiar and distinctive features of a human resources are as under. Human resources is the only factor of production that lives. Human resources created all other resources. It is the only labor of employees that is hired and not the employee himself. Human resources exhibits the innovation and creativity. Human resources alone and can think, act, analyze and interpret. Human resources are emotional beings. Human resources can be motivated either financially or non-financially. The behavior of the human resources are unpredictable. Over years, human resources gains value and appreciates. Human resources are movable. Human resources can work as a team. Significance of human resources. The vital resources named the human resources is significant because of the following reasons. It is only through human resources all other resources are effectively used. The sustainable growth of the organization depends on the important resources, human resources. Industrial relations depend on the human resources. Human relationship possible only through the human resources. Human resources manages all other factors of production. The skill set of the human resources can be improved through training and development programs. Human resources can be utilized at all levels of management. Human resources will protected by the legislative frameworks. Meaning and definition of human resources management. The branch of management that deals with the human managing resources is called human resources management. In order to achieve the personal and organizational objects, human resources are to be trained up and managed. In short, it is a managing people of different strata for the accomplishment of the organizational goals. It includes the overall progress of the employee and the enterprise. Human resources management is a function of management concerned with the hiring, motivating, and maintaining the people in an organization. It focuses on the people in an organization. According to Dale Yoder, human resources management as the effective process of planning and detecting the application, development, and utilization of human resources in employment. In the words of E.F.L. Ibrecht, HRM as a part of management process which is primarily concerned as with the human constituencies of the organization. Features of human resources management. The following are the characteristics of human resources management. Universally relevant. Human resources management as a universal relevance. Their approach and the style varies depending the nature of organization structure and is applicable at all levels. Goal oriented. The accomplishment of the organizational goal is made possible through the best utilization of human resources is an organization. A systematic approach. Human resources management lays emphasis on the systematic approach in managing the task performed by the human resources of an organization. The two sets of the functions performed are managerial and optimative functions. It is all permissive. Wherever there is the existence of a human resources, the effective management of the available human resources is very important, especially in the functional areas. It is a continuous process. As long as there is a human resources in the running of the organization, the activities relating to the managing human resources exist. It is a dynamic activity. Human resources management is not the same as that of the other factor of production, as they have the feelings and emotions which are to be handled with care and diligence to maximize its utilization. It is an integrative role. The main idea behind the managing the human resources is to motivate, participate, and coordinate the available work pace. Focuses on development. Human resources management focuses on the development of the manpower enough through the training and the development programs. Honing of the skills through the training experiences increases the effective uses of the resources procured. Human resources management is both science as well as art, as it relies on the experiments and observations as well as the effective handling of the manpower. It is both science and art. It is interdisciplinary. Human resource management makes use of concepts of different disciplines like sociology, psychology, and economics, etc., making it interdisciplinary. It is intangible. Human resources management is an intangible function which can be measured only by results. Significance of human resource management. The strategic role of human resources management is the process of acquiring, training, appraising, and compensating employees, and attending to the labor relation, health, safety, and fairness concerns. There are various reasons why human resources management is important. They are as follows. Significance of human resources management as several types: manpower needs, change, ensure requirements, right man, right job, updation, appraisal, competitive advantage, incentive and bonus, employment commitment, employee attitude, collective. To identify the manpower needs, determination of a manpower needs is an organization is very important as it is a form of investment. The number of men required are to be identified accurately to optimize the cost. To incorporate the change. Change is a constant in very organization, and these changes has to be introduced in such a way that the human resources management acts as agents to make the change effective. To ensure the correct requirements of the manpower. At any time, the organization should not suffer from the shortage or surplus manpower, which is made possible through the human resources management. To select right man for right job, human resources management ensures that the right talent available for the right job, so that no employee is either under the qualified or overqualified. To update the skill and knowledge. Managing human resources plays a significant role in playing the process of employee skill and knowledge enhancement to enable the employees to remain up to date through the training and development programming. To appraise the performance of the employees, periodical appraisal of the performance of the employees through human resources management activities boost up good performers and motivates slow performers. It helps the workforce to identify their level of performance. To improve the competitive advantage. Organization with the capable and the competent employees can truly gain competitive advantage in the globalized market. Higher the level of good performer, greater the possibility of the fast-paced growth of the enterprise. To provide incentives and the bonus to best performers. It is the role of human resources management to recognize the best performance and to provide them with the bonus and incentives as form of appreciation for their work. This motivation can be either financial or non-financial. To determine the employee commitment. Human resources management determine the level of commitment of employees to their work, either through interview or questionnaire. The higher the level of commitment, the higher the possibility of organizational to be successful. This can be carried out through the appropriate policies to emphasize the socialization. Human beings are social animals and they should be ensured then they are comfortable in the workplace by maintaining cordial relationship with peers, subordinates and managers as to contribute the maximum to their organization. To promote favorable employee attitude. Organizations are unexpected to provide a good work environment to secure favorable employee attitude towards the management. This can be accomplished through the conflict resolution, counseling, grievance, reprisal, etc. To provide a scope for collective bargaining. Human resources management encourages the workspace to form a union to represent their grievances and find early solution for the problems by collective representations. Functions of human resources management. The functions of human resources management may be classified as under managerial function: planning, organizing, directing, controlling. Operative function: procurement, development, compensation, retention, integration, maintenance. Managerial functions: planning. Planning is deciding in the advance to what to do, how to do, and who is to do. It bridges the gap between where we were and we want to go. It helps in systematic operations of business. It involves the determination of objectives, policies, procedures, rules, strategies, programs, and budgets. It ensures maintenance of correct number of employees to carry out activities and also to formulate timely employee policies. Organizing. It includes division of work among employees by assigning each employee their duties, delegations of authority as required, and creations of accountability to make the employees responsible. Directing. It involves the issue of orders and instructing along with the supervision, guidance, and motivation to get the best out of employees. This reduces waste of time, energy, and money and yearly attainment of organizational objectives. Controlling. It is comparing the actuals with the standards and to check the whether activities are as per plan and the officially deviations. The control process including fixing of standards, measuring actual performance, comparing actual with the standard laid down, measuring deviation, and taking corrective actions. This is made possible through abbreviations, supervisions, reports, records, and audit. Operating functions: procurement, development, compensation, retention, integration, and maintenance are the operating functions. Now we can see their explanations. Procurement actions deals with the job analysis, human resources planning, requirement, selection, placement, transfer, and promotion. Development includes performance appraisal, training, executive development, career planning, and development, organizational development. Compensation. It deals with the job evaluation and salary administration, intensive, bonus, fringe benefits, and social security schemes. Retention. This made possible through the health and safety welfare, social security, job satisfaction, quality of the work life. Integration. It is concerned with those activities that aim to bring about the reconciliation between the personal interest and the organizational interest. Maintenance. This encourages employees to work with the job satisfaction, reducing labor turnover, accounting for human resources, and for carrying out audit and research. Human resources management requirement methods. Meaning and definitions of requirement. Requirement is the process of finding the suitable candidates for the various posts in an organization. It is a process of attracting potential people to apply a job in an organization. It acts as a link between the job provider and the job seeker. It encourages the prospective employees to apply for the job. Then the organization scrutinizes the applications received and the suitable candidates are shortlisted for the selection. The following are some of the definitions of the requirement. According to Edwin B. Filippo, it is a process of searching for the prospective employees and stimulating and encouraging them to apply for jobs in an organization. Reasons behind the requirements. There are different reasons why vacancy arises, and they are: retirement of an employee, death of an employee, destination job by an employee, displacement of an employee, dismissal of an employee. Requirement process. Requirement process includes the following steps: planning requirement, determining vacancies, identifying the sources, drafting information for the advertisement, selecting the suitable mode of advertisement, facilitating the selection process, evaluation and control. Sources of requirement as the two sources: internal sources and external sources. Internal sources are transfers, promotion, upgrading, retirement employees, retrenched employees, dependent and relatives of the deceased employees, and demotions. External: press advertisement, educational institutes, placement agencies and outstanding, employment exchanges, labor contractors, consolidated applicants, employee referrals, requirement at the factory gate. There are basically two ways which an organization can recruit its employees, namely internal and external sources. External sources can further be classified into the direct and indirect sources. Internal sources: transfer, upgrading, promotion, demotion, recommendation by existing employees, job rotation, retired employees, dependents, previous applicants, accomplished actionists, and the mergers. External sources: directing, advertisement, unsolicited applicants, walk-ins, campus requirement, requirement at factory gate, private firms, requirement. Indirect: employees referral, government, public employment exchanges, employment agencies, employment consultancies, professional association, deputation, professional association, deputation, word of mouth, labor contracts, job portals, outcharging, poaching. Internal sources: the following are the internal sources of requirement. Transfer: the simplest way by which the employee requirement can be filled with is through the transfer of employee from another department with a surplus staff to that of another with a deficient staff. Upgrading: performance appraisal helps in the process of moving employees from the lower position to the higher position. Promotion: based on the seniority and the merits of the employees, they are given opportunity to move on up in the organizational hierarchy. Demotion: movement of employee from the higher position to the lower position because of the poor performance continuously to make him realize the significance of the performance. Recommendation by existing employees: a family member, relative, or a different of an existing employee can be required and placed. Job rotation: one single employee managing to learn how to perform in more than one job on a rotation. This familiarizing the employees with all kind of jobs performed and because of sources. Retention: the retiring employees can be used to meet the requirement after the superannuation as per the management discretion. Retired employees. The employees who have already retired can also call to fit the vacancy as they have required classification and experience. Dependents. The legal hire or the dependent employee may be given a chance to replace the decade. Previous applicants. The applicants who have already applied for any job advertised in the past whose name appears in the database but not to select at the point time can be utilized. Acquisitioning and mergers. This is the another way by which the organization acquires another business unit or merging with another establishment. External sources. Direct advertisements. The employer can advertise in dailies, journals, organization, etc. About the vacancies in the organization, specifying the nature of a work, nature of vacancy, qualification and experience required, salary offered, mode of applying and the time limit within which the candidate has to apply. Unsolicited applicants. There are the applicants of job seekers who voluntarily apply for the vacancies not yet notified by the organization. Walk-ins. Walk-in in the applicants with suitable qualification and requirement can be another source for requirement. Campus requirement. The organization visits the educational institution to identify and they recruit the suitable candidates. Requirement at factory gate. Usually casual or temporary unskilled employees are required by this way. They are recruited at the factory gate and paid on the hourly or daily basis. Rival firms. This is also called poaching, where the efficient employees of a rival companies are drawn to the organizations by higher pay and benefits. For example, salesmen, chartered accountants, management professionals, etc. E-requirement. The organization which carry out the requirement online methods are said to follow e-requirements. The advancement in technology and communication has made it possible to reach out prospective applicants globally online. It has become inevitable external source of requirement. B. Indirect employee referral. The existing employees of the organization may recommend some of their relatives or known people who will be suitable for the existing vacancies. Based on the credibility of the employee, the referrals can be also considered. Government public employment exchanges. Established by the government which facilitates requirement throughout the country. It makes available the information required through the database for the employer as well as the job seeker by bridging the gap between them. Private employment agencies. These are similar to the public employment exchanges except the ownership in the hands of the private parties. It connects the job provider and the job seeker by providing the relevant and required information. Employment consultancies. These types of firms facilitate the requirements on the behalf of client companies at cost. Usually they provide the data relating to executives and top level personnel for which services they charge consultation. Fees also known as the requirement process outsourcing. Professional association. Organizations seeking applicants of a high caliber and reputed with the technical knowledge approach. Professional association like Institute of Chartered Accountants, the Indian Medical Association, the Institute of Training and Development, the Institute of Engineers, All India Management Association, etc. to identify the right person. Deputation. A person who is already an employee of an organization can be deputed for a specific job for a specific period as a short-term solution. Word of mouth. The information relating to job seekers is collected through the people of repute who pass on the message about the vacancy to their known people. Labor contracts. Organization recruit the unskilled and the manual laborers through these contracts. Job portals. Using internet jobs portals, organization can screen for the prospective candidates and fill their vacancies. Recent trends in the requirement. The recent methods by recruiting the organization includes the following methods. Outsourcing. There are outsourcing firms that helps in the process of recruiting through screening of application and finding the right person for the job, for which job they are paid services charges. Requirement process outsourcing. First, requirement understanding, advertise and source, screening, validation, profile submission, interview process and feedback, selection and follow up. Now we can see poaching. Organization, instead of training and developing their own employees, hire employees of other competitive companies by paying them more both financial and non-financial benefits. It is called also raiding. Now we can see about employee selection process. Meaning and definition of employee selection process. Employee selection process can range from very simple process to very complicated process. There is no standard universally accepted selection process adopted by all organizations. The selection process may be adopted depending upon the nature of jobs and organization. The process may differ from the organization to organization. A selection process includes a number of steps: screening, the application forms, test, interview, check of reference, physical examination and approval by appropriate authority, and handing over the selected candidates to oriented and replacement selection. These steps are not necessary for all types of selection process. The main aim of selection process is to find out the suitable candidate for specific job. Since there are various factors which affect the seeking of such information, the same type of selection process cannot be applied in all type of selection. Selection is the process of differentiating between the applicants in order to identify and hire those with a greater likelihood of success in a job. Selection is the process of choosing the most suitable person for the vacant position in the organization. According to Dale Yoder, selection is the process in which the candidates for employment are divided into two classes: those who are to be offered employment and those who are not. David and Robbins, selection is a managerial discussion or a decision-making process is to predict what the job applicants will be successful if hired. Steps in employee selection process. A comprehensive selection process involves the various types of process. Application bank. Most of the public sector undertaking, various ministries of government, selection commissions, requirement boards and primary sector companies either supply pre-printed application from or direct to the candidate to download the forms uploaded in their respective websites. In the case of voluntary application submitted by the candidates, they are issued application from the afresh at the venue of the interview to collect the complete information about the candidate in the standardized format. Selector can collect different types of information from the application blank, namely family background, educational qualification, co-curricular activities, work experience, exposure to related activities, scale of paid on, academic distinction, area of expertise, and so on. Scrutinizing the applications, where the application received in the response to advertisement inviting the application for opening or more. It is not possible for requirement agencies to call the applicants for the interview. Hence, selection committee has to evolve some criteria like age, length of experience, level of education, percentage of marks, higher qualification, level of exposure, communable quotas and proficiency, etc. Shortlist the number of applicants for the interview. Selection test. Several tests are conducted in the selection process to ensure whether the candidate possesses the necessary qualification to fit in the various positions in the organization. Selection test has two types: ability test and personality test. Ability test: aptitude, achievement, intelligence, judgment. Personality test: interest, personality, projective, attitude. Now we can see the explanations. Ability test: a test designed to measure an individual's cognitive function in a specific area, such as a variety of skills, mental aptitude, problem solving, knowledge of particular field, reasoning ability, intelligence, etc. This test is used to find the suitability of a candidate for the given job role. Aptitude test. Aptitude test is a test to measure the suitability of the candidates for the post role. It actually measures where the candidate possesses a set of skills required to perform a given job. It helps in the predicting the ability and future performance of the candidate. Aptitude test can be measured by the following ways: numerical reasoning test, verbal reasoning test, inductive reasoning test, mechanical reasoning test, diagrammatic reasoning test, spatial reasoning test, situational judgment test, mental arithmetic test, vocabulary test, number sequence test. Now we can see the explanations. Numerical reasoning test. Numerical reasoning test provides information about candidates' numerical aptitude. In other words, this test measures the candidate's ability to make a correct decision from the numerical data. Verbal reasoning test. It measures the candidate's ability to comprehend the written text and the ability to arrive at a factual conclusion from the written text. Inductive reasoning test. Inductive test is the one of the psychometric tests conducted in the selection process to measure the problem solving abilities and ability to apply the logical reasoning. Mechanical reasoning test. This test measures the candidate's ability to understand the shape, abstracts, ideas and ability to observe and extract values from illustrations and apply them to new samples. Spatial reasoning test. The test measures the candidate's ability to clearly manipulate and remember the shapes, still images, and find out the pattern which govern the sequence. Situational judgment test. This test measures the candidate's ability to choose the most desirable action in critical situation using the judging ability. Mental arithmetic test. It tests the candidate's basic numerical ability like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and fraction. It tests the speed of doing calculation. Vocabulary test. The test measures candidates' ability to recognize the relationship among the ideas, think methodically, and fluency in the English language. Number sequence test. This measures the candidate's ability to find the logic in a series or pattern. Under this test, candidates have to find out missing number of sequence to determine the pattern. Achievement test. This test measures a candidate's capacity to achieve in a particular field. In other words, this test measures a candidate's level of skill in the certain areas, accomplishment, and knowledge in a particular subject. The regular examination conducted in the educational institution represents achievement test. It also called proficiency test after learning experience. In short, it is a test conducted to find out the candidate's mastery over the subject. Example, a driver may be asked to drive a vehicle to test its driving efficiency. Music student may be asked to play a given instrument. Teacher candidate may be asked to give a demonstration. Intelligence test. Intelligence tests are one of the most psychological tests that is designed to measure a variety of mental ability, individual capacity of a candidate. The main aim of these tests is to obtain an idea of the person's intellectual potential. Judgment test. The test is conducted to test the presence of mind and reasoning capacity of the candidates. Personality test. Personality test refers to the test conducted to find out with the non-intersectional traits of a candidate, namely temperament, emotional response, capability, and stability. There is no right or wrong answers in the test. Interest test. Interest test measures a candidate's extent of interest in a particular area chosen by him/her so that the organization can assign the job suited for us to her in the term. Personality inventory test. Under this method, standardized questionnaire is administered to candidate to find out the traits like interpersonal rapport, dominance, introvertness, extrovertness, self-confidence, lower sign quality, etc. This test assesses the reliability and initiate characteristics of the candidate concerned. Projective test, thematic appreciation test. The test measures the candidate's values, attitude, apprehensive personality, etc. After the interpretation or narration given by the candidate to the pictures, figures, etc. shown to him in the test situation. Attitude test. The test measures a candidate's tendencies towards the people, situation, action, and related things. For example, moral study, value study, social responsibility study expresses the attitude test and like a conducted to measure the attitude of the given candidate. Interview. Next step of selection process in interview. The term interview has been derived from the French word interviewer, That means to glimpse or to see each other. In other words, interview represents the face-to-face interaction between the interviewer and interview. According to Scott and others, an interview is a purpose for full exchange of ideas, the answering of questions and communicating between the two or more persons. Various types of interviews are shown. Types of interview: screening telephone, in-depth interview, video conferencing interview, group interview, panel interview, preliminary interview, stress interview, structure guided plant interview, unstructured interview, online interview. Now we can see these 10 explanations. Screen telephone interview, where the candidates live far away from organization and find it difficult to attend the preliminary interview for various reasons. Telephone interview is conducted by some organization to eliminate the unfit and unsuitable candidate from the primary stage itself. In-depth interview. The interview is conducted to test the level of knowledge of the interview in a particular field intensively and extensively. Thus, interview helps the interviewers to learn about the candidate's expertise and practical exposure with respect to his or her area of specialization. Video conferencing interview. Video conferencing interview is similar to face-to-face interview. Video conferencing interview is a kind of conference call that connects the candidate with the companies located across the various geographies. Just like a telephone call, a video conferencing interview has multi-point, which allows two or more people in different locations to participate in the interview process. Interview can be conducted from a desktop at work, a home computer or a smartphone or a tablet. Group interview. Group interview is a screening process where multiple candidates are interviewed at the same time. Group interview is a good time-saving type of interview. Instead of spending 5 hours interviewing 5 candidates individually, 1 hour can be spent interviewing them in a group. Sometimes particular topic is given to the group and they are asked to discuss it. Competency of the members of a group is assessed by keenly observing the participation of members in the discussion. Panel interviewing, where a group of people interviewing the candidate, it is called panel interview. Usually panel comprises chairpersons, subject expert, psychological experts, representatives of minorities and the privileged groups, nominees of higher bodies and so on. All panel members ask different types of questions on general areas of specialization of a candidate. Each and every member awards marks for the candidate separately. At the end, the marks awarded by all the members and aggregate and the candidates are ranked accordingly. The method eliminates the bias in the selection process. It ensures more reliability in the selection of the candidate. Preliminary interview. The interview is conducted to know the general suitability of a candidates who applied for the job. Team of experts conducts the interview primarily to eliminate those who are unqualified and unfit candidates. This helps the employer organization to cut costs and the time in selection process. Stress interview. This type of interview is conducted to test the temperament and the emotional balance of the candidate interviewed. Interviewer deliberately creates a stressful situation by directing the candidate to do the irrational and irritating activities. They assess the suitability of the candidate by observing the reaction of response of the candidate to the stressful situation. Mostly, this type of interview is conducted for recruiting sales representatives staff for defense and law enforcement agencies. Structure guided blunt interview. Under this method, a series of questions to be asked by the interviewer are prepared by the interviewer, and only these questions are asked in the interview. Ultimately, interviews are ranked on the basis of a score earned by the candidates in the interview. Unstructured interview. This is a quite contrary to constructed interview. An atmosphere for free and frank interaction is created in the interview environment. There is no pre-prepared questions. Interviewers determine the suitability of the candidate based on the response to the random questions raised in the interview. Online interview. Due to the tremendous growth in the information and communication technology, these days interviews are conducted by the means of internet via Skype, WeChat, Google Do, Viber, WhatsApp, or video call applications. This enables the interviewers to conduct interview with the candidates living in faraway places. They save a lot of time, money, and energy, both the employer's organization and the candidates. Physical examination or medical examination. The last technique is used in the selection process in medical examination. This is the most important step in selection because a person of a poor health cannot work competently and any investment on him may go waste. If she is unable to discharge duties efficiently on the medical grounds, in other words, it determines an applicant's physical ability to perform a specific job. The main purpose of medical examination is find out physical fitness of the candidate under the selection to the job concerned to protect the existing employees of the business organization from the infectious disease likely to be spread by the candidate selected. To check excessive expenditure in a treatment of a selected employee after a placement, reference check. A reference check is done to know the reliability and trustworthiness of the candidate. Usually, application blank contains a column for the candidate to furnish the list of persons to be contacted to reference purpose. Employee organization used to send either standardized form to referees or to request them to write in a detail about the certain behavioral traits of a candidate under the selection like conduct, character, attitude, behavior, value system, etc. The selector decides the selection worthiness of a candidate based on the reference and recommendation given by the referees. Approval by higher authority. Selection committee sends the list of the candidates selected with some candidate kept in the waiting list for approval by higher authority like chairman, higher director, CEO and the like. Once the list is approved, the selected candidates will be called for the final interview.